Yeah, let's just wrap it.
Let's just go. Right. Three, two, one.
Hey guys, I guess the big topic here is what is high ticket space? What are we all doing here? How we got here? How can you
Mhm.
possibly benefit with this? Who wants to go first? Is it Sean or is it you, Sam?
Sam, you go first.
Okay. All right.
Since
Yeah, I think, well, yeah, big thing we're just talking about here really is like I more or less our journey, just documenting that.
Hmm,
I I'm
Mhm.
essentially.
not to say that we're know-it-alls here, but we just want to put this out firstly so that we can have something to look back at. But if somebody else is in like a similar situation to us, it's something to resonate with. And that doesn't mean that you're in high ticket. Could mean you're in something else that requires a lot of skill or something that requires a bit of a journey itself. And I feel like what we're going to share here is, I don't know, some stories here and there, but otherwise maybe the lessons that we learn and kind of maybe the principles that we adopt from that can be obviously applicable in all regions. Um, so that's really off the top of my head, kind of the agenda.
That's one way to make the introduction.
Yeah.
yeah. So Sam, tell us a little bit about yourself then.
Um, yeah. So at the time of this, I've been aware of high ticket for like 8 months now, and I've been selling for about 6 months. I guess people that don't know what high ticket sales is, it's in the yeah, basically in the high ticket coaching consulting region. That's a very big example of things where, you have coaches in all regions of things, whether it's helping people generate more wealth through business opportunities or coaching people in fitness and wellness and stuff like that, or even helping people out with relationships. So dating coaches and all these kinds of things. And what they're doing is they're just packaging their knowledge and experience and helping other people transform in those regions of their life as it did for that coach themselves. So essentially, what we're doing is we're the individual who facilitates these kinds of deals happening over the matter of one call. And these types of tickets are, upwards in the multiple four figures or even five figures and beyond, really. So I've been in here for 6 months selling and bouncing from startup to startup, really. I think that's the run of the mill. You either start out selling startups or you network your way into really good opportunity right off the bat, or you'll kind of start out setting appointments instead. Um, so I
What
think,
would you say?
yeah, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you here. What would you say is the best route to like actually to have like long-term success in this? Is it going to be like going through the entire journey, like, starting with setting, moving into triaging, moving into closing? Or do you feel like it's like first you should focus on the network and network yourself into good opportunities? Or maybe perhaps it's the one where you just like go on from startup to startup, knowing that okay, you have to get your skill set to a certain level that even if you land on the next startup, you still can close pretty much every single deal.
Hmm.
How do you guys feel?
I'm
Personally, I think
biased.
it's
I'm
you're
biased.
biased, Sam. What do you say?
Yeah, so I mean, I hear stories from everybody in all three of those paths, and I feel like the end goal is all pretty similar. Just for me, it's like, yeah, it's figuring out how to, get your teeth kicked in selling the first time. Just if you want to go straight into closing for a startup, go through all the very unqualified buyers and just dial in your process and learn how to earn commitment on that call, basically. Um,
And
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just take what you learned there and just find a better vehicle, aka another offer that has a lot more of what you're looking for, and can actually put your skills to the test and challenge yourself. But
Yeah.
the other two
I hear
routes
what
work
you're
really well too. So
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Look, I guess because I do feel like that, depending on your goals, right? It's who do you listen to? Is like if you want to, you want to become a closer, right? You're gonna go to the best in the business and learn out then. But you know, when it comes to actually setting your own appointments and then how to do triage, I think that they do have some benefits as well. Because
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
started off in like triage and I went up to closing. And triaging is it's a completely different animal on how you actually qualify someone before you even go through the closing call because they are two different calls. But it's not the same frame. But if your ultimate goal is just to like be a closer, which in most cases it is, like 90% of people who get into
yeah,
the space, then it's just just go learn off who's the best closer in the industry and then just like learn off them and implement what they say. But I do think it depends on your goals and which route you really want to go down. Because like closing isn't for everyone, but some people like to set. Because I know someone who's making like 17K a month just being on an appointment center.
I know someone who's making 30K being an
Yeah.
appointment setter. Yeah,
So, you know,
it's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, for just sending text messages, right? All you've got to do is just, and you're making 30K a month. I mean, most people would take that, you know.
100%. And Sam has mentioned something about the process, and how, you know, when you're first starting out as a closer, you want to dial in your process. What do you feel would be a good way for people to actually start dialing in the process? Because, you know, if they just go on and start dialing it by themselves, you might not really get the desired outcome that you'd want to get, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
just like lead by example, honestly, just invest into a mentor. Just
Yeah.
like you're otherwise, you know, selling for a mentor, you know? So just follow suit. Like save yourself the time because we don't freaking get that back, right? Like money comes and goes, and like actually learn from someone who has a proven process. And there's a lot of people out there that can do that easily.
And I guess, like, do you feel like when you said, you know, lead by example, do you feel like if you've done it personally yourself, like if you've invested in a mentor, if you've invested into someone else, maybe to get some of that time back, do you feel that that makes the whole thing of like being more relatable to the prospect easier, or is it going to be harder,
How would it be
or is it
harder?
natural?
How would
Well,
it
I
be
don't know.
harder? I would be
I
surprised. I would
um
love to talk with someone and learn from someone who'd think that would be harder. Um,
I mean, you can always say like bad experiences and all that stuff, right?
okay, that's fair. I mean, if you go through one program and it actually doesn't turn out to be what was promised, then yeah, like you would have a very hard time. That's very true. I think it's very
Yeah.
situational
Yeah,
in that
so
sense.
I guess the key lesson in that would be, you know, if you're going to invest in someone, do your due diligence
Exactly.
first.
Yes. Do your
Yes, because
research.
I think we've all been there where we've invested in programs, whether this be closing or whether this be, in a different field. Because I mean, we all didn't start out wanting to be tight closers, right? We all got started into something else, but ultimately the courses and the programs we got weren't actually enough for us to meet our goals.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe they were, but they just didn't align with how we wanted to get there, right? Because if you want to start an agency isn't for everyone. You can go buy an agency course, but it's not for you. It's not for you. Or the same with closing. You can buy a closing course, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. You need to know what your goals are in the space, and ultimately, if you're going to be successful there.
Precisely. And
Mhm.
I think the funniest thing about this is we all ultimately got started with an agency course, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah, agency and then transitioned into closing. Started off one of the basic courses, then make your like 10K 90 days. Not necessarily marketing is a little bit different from fulfillment. Don't necessarily get the result. You might have 1, 2 people in the whole program who actually get the result. It's not going to be enough to get you to where you want to be.
Mm. What do you feel you personally needed to get to that level? Just from your personal experience.
Honestly, probably just the right, it's like who do you listen to? It's the right coach because
Mm.
some coaches are going to say focus on objections. Some coaches will focus on tonality and body language. Focus on dealing with follow-ups. Ultimately, every approach works, but just like what I mentioned before, you do need to know which one's going to best fit for you. And I guess for me, it would have been, Bill Walsh's program where it's just objections, it's just straight to the point. It's boom, 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 get it done. I can relate to that. I was drawn to that because that's what I relate to. Not everyone is going to be the same selling style. That makes
No.
sense.
Yeah. And I guess, do you feel like, you know, personal what's it called, tendencies aside, do you feel like, you know, a good way to start is going to be like, you know, going to straight into like figuring out the objections? Let's say, you know, you already understand the process, how to walk the prospect through everything. What do you feel is like, you know, obviously because you mentioned, you know, you can go the tonality route, you can go body language route, but like ultimately, like at least personally me, I feel like the objection handling is just naturally just the next step.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But I guess why
It's
do you agree?
I spent long enough not being able to handle objections, and I wasn't making any money.
No.
And then I learned how to handle objections, and I made like 7K USD last month, which was my best month. I know there's a lot of people out there doing a lot more, but when I was in my 9 to 5, I was making like 2K per month, and ultimately was in sales for a couple of months. Wasn't able to handle objections and was just letting people off the call. But then that comes down to not getting the proper training as well. And when I invested in the Builds program, got the objection handled, got the proper training, my whole life has turned around.
What did you guys personally struggle with the most? Let's just say like just the whole process aside, but then we can get onto like more of the let's say limiting beliefs, all that stuff. But like with the whole process, right, of like getting people for the sales call to discovery part, then pitch, and then closing them. I guess what do you guys feel like you struggle with the most?
Authority, I think, is mine easily. So
Mm,
that kind of just flows in everything. Um, I don't know, like a little bit of like beliefs and stuff like that. Like it's one of the weirdest things. I made a post on Facebook just asking people's opinions between mindset and skill set, and it's like it's definitely there's like a path.
yeah.
It always boils down to like I feel your own mindset, and usually the skill set will always follow. So
Mm,
I think mine was like I just didn't have I didn't have the belief within me to lead a call like that. And so
mm,
they were basically leading the call, and then if they're leading the call when they need help, they're not going to probably find the help that they want or get the help that they want, really. So
mm. Why do you say so?
because like they're having a problem, and more often than not their problem is that like they just don't have it within them to fix their own problem themselves. They need someone else to do that for them or do that
Yeah,
with them, um, in order to get them to their goal. Otherwise, frankly, they would have already fixed it. They already fixed their problem, right?
precisely.
So, and sometimes it's not even a matter of whether or not they can fix it or not. It's just if you go higher end, then it's people just looking for how they can get there faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that seems to be like the path that people take. It's dealing first with people who simply can't fix their problem, and then dealing with people who just want their problem fixed sooner than they would otherwise fix
Mm.
it. So
So it's just like moving from how to help them overcome the issue while overcome themselves really into then moving on like helping them overcome the urgency, right?
something like that. Something
Mm.
like that. Yeah. It's
I,
like
I get
yeah, there's definitely two types of people you talk with. There's one who can definitely fix their problem, but they understand how important it is to get it done sooner. Um, and then there's people like who think they know what they're doing
yeah,
when they don't really realize that they're not going to fix their problem otherwise.
yeah,
So yeah, those are always fun talks. So
exactly. And I guess with authority, right? And confidence mindset, I guess what are you doing currently to like, because obviously we know each other, we've seen how much you've grown over the past couple of months, and authority has for sure been the one of the big issues. But I guess like what are you doing currently that could help, other people, let's say in this space that are also struggling with it? Because I personally sometimes when I'm on a different offer, recent example being the one you actually are closing for right now. I struggle with authority a lot, right? So I guess what are you doing now differently that is allowing you to maintain that authority throughout the call? Is it mindset based? Is it skill set based? How do you feel?
um yeah, I think it's just like I think it is definitely mindset. Like, and the reason why I say that is just because like I don't have all the skills for this necessary like easily. Like, there's so much to improve for me. Like there's so much. Um, but like I know that if I don't show up in the right manner with the right intent on the call, that that could make or break the call and how it
Right
ends up.
intent?
Yeah, correct. So for me, it's just maybe there's a better way to articulate it, but it's coming in knowing that my job is to inspire, influence change, for that person that I'm speaking with, really,
Yeah.
and um, and like the thing that helps me out most, I think right now is like learning how to be detached from from
Mm.
the sale itself. It's like my job is to help them at the end of the day, serve them. And if that means getting them out of their own way and, getting my solution that I'm representing, then that's one way. Or maybe it's not going to be that way. And if that's the case, then that's fine. I'll offer maybe some advice and point them in a better direction, I feel, given their circumstances. So,
That's beautiful.
yeah.
Thanks for sharing
I
that.
have yet to make that better, but like I'm starting in that direction. And yeah, that was one of the biggest things for me that really changed the game. So,
Yeah, I appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing that. And what about you, Shawnee?
In regards to what?
In regards to like, some of the bottlenecks that you had coming into this space, and I guess like, with regards to like the whole process and like maybe some of your own limiting beliefs that, maybe keeping you from where you want to be.
I I'd say it's for me. It wouldn't be down to a lack of authority because I feel like I'm pretty confident on the calls. I mean, I can talk to most people, given my background. So I don't think that's an issue for me. But I think is an issue for me would also be a mindset issue. So what Sam said, you want to go into the call with the right intents. And I guess I got started in this space because I wanted to make money because I was in debt. So I'm still going through the process of going in with the intention of actually truly being there to help the person instead of trying to make a sale, right? Because I'm still coming from a place of scarcity and lack. So if a sale doesn't go my way, I can start to feel my thought process changing, my mental frame change because of, I'm worried about not making money. And especially because this space is only a commission-based industry only alone. And, when you move country and you're in a place where you don't speak the language, you've got to pay your bills, pay your loans, pay your rent, and if you don't perform, you don't get the money, and then you don't get the money, it's hard to actually come from a place of abundance. But that then all ties back to having the right skills, of course. Because you can have an abundance mindset, but if you don't have the skills, you're not
It's just
gonna
like
you're not
that.
gonna close anything anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
What
guess,
about you?
mm, we'll move on to that. But I guess like, what are you doing currently to like, kind of overcome that?
Well, look, we're all in the same sales training program, so look, we've all invested in Bill, so
Yeah.
we're all learning our skills. But I actually invested in a mindset coach, Mindtrepreneur. That's how I think me and Sam originally met. Was in there, Mindtrepreneur. I'm not sure if we met, but we've seen each other in the calls, and
Yeah.
yeah, I decided to invest and work on a more one-on-one basis with them, so I can actually tackle the limiting beliefs I have. Because look, at the end of the day, I know I have all the skills to basically make this work. Right? I have the same skills that people do on 30, 40, 50K in our program I do. But the only difference between us two is, the whole mental stories you tell yourself and the limiting beliefs that actually hold you back.
Absolutely. And one thing I would like to touch on is like the maybe not hypocrisy, but like the whole thought of like you gotta be detached from the outcome of the sale, but at the end of the day, I mean you gotta make money, right? Because this is a
Yeah.
commission based, yeah. And obviously, everyone cares about the closing percentage, all that stuff. So I guess how do you truly stay detached from the outcome?
No, bro, I'm still learning that.
See, that's my thing. Like I personally struggle with that, right? Because obviously skill set wise, etc. I'm on a good track now, especially with Bill. Um, One of the key reasons, like I had the confidence on the previous offers. I did get to decent commissions, and I just started with speaking to big like 6 7 figure, even 8 figure business owners, and I was pushed
Mm-hmm.
into a product that was 20 and 40 grand ticket. So it's a different conversation, and I jumped into an offer that most of the people were 9 to 5ers. So it's just a whole different level of conversations, and I just carried on that confidence and authority, and it shot me
Mm-hmm.
up to the closing percentages of like 70 80%, right? And then moving on to the next offer where I kind of just like I was the I guess I was the leaflet for that offer because my sales skill set was constantly being judged by the people that are jumping on the calls with me. Some of them were in also sales, so it's quite easy, to actually gauge whether the program is good or not just based on the closer's on skill set, right? And you can only get so far with like scripts, frameworks, and some of the memorized lines. But it's just like if you cannot carry that confidence, that's just going to stem out of having learned that skill set, having proven yourself multiple times on multiple offers. I feel like that was my biggest pitfall. And also like one of the limiting beliefs was I felt like on the two offers that I was doing pretty fine with, my best month was essentially 17K across the two offers. I felt like what if I fail on the next one? What if I just don't make the money because, well, this just seemed too good to be true, right? And I just kept that defeatist attitude, like kept that mindset of like, okay, what if I'm not enough? And
Mhm.
sooner or later, if that's all I focused about, I just found proof of it and just kind of went on from that, right?
Yeah, I get you, Sam. I hear what you're saying, my man. I hear what you're saying. So, how come if if you were in an offer where you're making like 17K a month, how come you kind of just didn't say that? Don't mind me asking.
Um, I suppose it's more about the team culture that was there. It
Mm-hmm.
was very bully like a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
fake alpha males, bunch of machos that, just want to enforce their own opinion to other guys. Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of those, um, long story short, the delivery just wasn't there, and I cannot put myself behind a bad product. So I just like took me maybe 3 to 4 days just to wait for the invoice to come in, and I just went in from that. Just moved on to the next project.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. What about you, Sam? How's your experience been in terms of your commission? Look, I guess that's what people are interested in. Everyone wants to know how much money you can make because you always see the bright lights in the, 30, 40, 50K months. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
So I'm here to hit everyone with like reality, especially starting out. It's
mhm.
definitely not sunshine and rainbows in here. And like the potential here is really high, but that's because like what it takes to get there is a lot as well, because you're there to get a lot, so it's going to take a lot.
Yeah.
So honestly, up until this point, my highest commission month was like 1600, I'd say. And now finally I am on like a much better vehicle compared to before. So I credit like I credit most of this year to just learning, really, just getting just trudging through the mud.
Yeah.
And then now finally I'm on a place where I can really like have the spotlight. And that
Yeah.
that turned out just like that right after getting on, because I've been on there for 3 days now, and I've already pumped out like I think three people over the line just like that. So it's it's exciting, and I
Mhm.
just know that we're kind of going on an upward trajectory now. So yeah.
Yeah. I guess what changed now, like in your approach, that you were on that offer, you didn't necessarily get that much in commissions, and now like what got you to actually land that good opportunity, so you can now make the money you truly deserve to have.
It's continuing to do a lot of the other hard stuff, which is like the other side of this industry, which people don't understand. I think this is the case with this and any other like opportunity that you have to make money online, which is
Yeah.
just knowing the right people. Like I look back, and even with like actual like 9 to 5s I was doing, the reason why I got the jobs I got was just because of the people I knew at the end of the day. And it's crazy just thinking about that, but that's just the reality of it. Like what I was doing before I got into all this online stuff, I was making decent money for my age, but I just didn't really like the job. But like I got there because of my dad at the end of the day. And I wish I had realized these things back then. Like how I wish I was more
Mhm.
grateful for them and didn't take them for granted. Because if I had just applied that way of thinking to this industry, I feel like I would have been in a much different position at this point had I put a lot more emphasis on getting to know people.
Yeah. And I guess with that, I think we can probably end this and just kind of like ask each one of us, knowing what you've gone through, what would you change or what would you have done differently if you could go back in time? We can start with you, Sam, or we can start with Sean.
Um, I mean, I wish I discovered Bill Walsh like right at the start. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, that's really where my transformation happened. It's like he helped me realize like what it really takes to make the money you want to make in this industry and really make the impact
Yeah.
that you want to make. Um, but like, I don't discredit the rest of my journey up to this point, really. But I definitely do regret some things. Like, I'm not gonna say regret doesn't exist. I think that's an interesting topic of its own. I feel like people try to ignore regret. They keep like trying
Mhm.
to hide behind it or something, but it's something to be genuinely like it's a genuine thing. It's a word for a reason. And so yeah, I definitely have regrets. So I think it's yeah, for me, I just wish I met Bill Walsh sooner than later. So
I think for me, it's pretty much going to be the same. Because like I do understand that the right now, like the only way you move up is like okay, for sure. If you focus on the network at first, you might have the best opportunities out there. But if you cannot perform, ultimately, you're gonna get booted out of that offer, right? So for me, it would just be if I could change something differently, it was just like actually either land on Jeremy Miner's trading or Bill Walsh's. I personally, knowing what I know now, I would have gone with Bill Walsh, but it's just like actually get that skill set up first, then start networking and really bring out that value I actually have in this space out there, right?
mhm,
But
absolutely.
what about you, Sean?
Yeah, I don't want to say the same answer, right? Because ultimately, I could say the same answer, right? But I
Yeah.
guess what I really wish was I didn't start an agency, a year ago.
Mm,
Because I didn't know about high ticket closing then, but
yeah.
I knew about it, but I just didn't necessarily get into it, right? It was either that or it was an agency. I spent, 8 months fucking around trying to start an agency and, didn't get anywhere. Ultimately, just to end up in, I guess, a place where I had seen like 8 months ago. But I mean, look, we all have a journey, get to where we are because of the actions we take. So
Yeah.
I don't want to, say I regret anything, right? But I guess I'm here where I am, and I guess now what I want to do is focus on just getting better, which is, ultimately what we're all here for, and why we're doing this podcast. It's just trying to improve and document the journey. So, like I tell the prospects on calls, you don't want to look at the past because that's done, right? We want to look at the future and see how we can
Yeah.
actually make the future better. So
Would
that's
you
that's
say
what I'm more focused on.
and would you say in all those things, you studying those couple of months doing agency, I guess, was that a valuable experience? Because no.
Waste of time, man.
Yeah.
Waste of time.
But I guess what is it that actually kept you going? Because you had all those months, you then went through closing in, and you could have gone back to your 9 to 5, right? Which would have been comfortable, but then you still kept pushing.
Well, look, I was already in a 9 to 5, so it was in kind of in a state of comfort already. But I just knew there was more for me than just settling for, you know, 2K a month, 20 days off a year, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, bus in, bus out. And there's more to life than just doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, I think what we'll do here is we'll just finish this, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll just prepare for the next topic next week. And yeah, that's our journey as of
So it's
14th of August. Is it August? 14th
yeah.
August 2023. In a year's time, Bora Bora, we're gonna record this interview from there, huh? No, not interview
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah. All right. Peace out.